Well, hello, people. I hope you're doing well. I put up a couple pieces there that are kind of long, going through an article that I thought was important. Um, so if you want to go through it, and you can take your time. You don't have to watch an hour me going through an article all at once, or flip through it and see what you think. If you think it's relevant and interesting, just click like. It'd be nice to see a like once in a while. I know some people watch, but I guess if you don't do the YouTube creator thing and beg for likes and shares and do the usual stuff, people just don't do it. It's like Peter Josephs was talking about, putting a 5-year-old's modern art picture on a gallery wall next to a really famous one, like let's say uh, Pollock or something that's worth tens of millions of dollars, Jackson Pollock. Then next to that, you have a 5-year-old's finger painting. And, the price on the 5-year-olds is $6 million, and the price on the Jackson Pollock is, 1,000. Everyone will buy the kids' art because the perceived value, the status. I just spent a shitload of money on a painting. It's worth this. Um, anyway, yeah. So I'm gonna go through a couple of things real quick because I this is a cautionary tale, or perhaps not a red flag, but a yellow flag or a warning signal. Drive carefully, navigate carefully, hazards ahead type of thing. Because I ran across Stephen Woodford's channel. It's called Rationality Rules. And he put up a video called "The End: Why the End of Christianity is Sooner Than You Think." He's a nice guy. He does debates with Christian apologists and religious apologists, and he explains some philosophical stuff. And I have his card game, which is quite fun. It's called Debunked. And, you get these cards like having to do with logic and things like that. So it's a strategic card game of logic, reason, and nonsense. And it's really a good product. It's well designed and put together, and it is fun to play. And I've enjoyed it with some friends. He's a good guy. Nothing earth shattering. I mean, the arguments that he discusses have been going around for thousands of years. Why they don't go away, I just don't know. So on his channel, I saw the video and I couldn't help it because basically the gist of the story that he's telling is that AI is going to end stupidity and religious magical thinking and so on, because everyone has access to it, and it's a fingertip away. You can access and organize and produce and create information, fact check, all this kind of stuff. But there's a problem with that, because if you're not a disciplined skeptic or critical thinker who's constantly aware of your own biases and own stupidity and cognitive mistakes and logical errors and so on, and epistemically humble and working hard to learn new things, open-minded, searching for the truth, doing the work, learning new things, all that kind of stuff. Basically, his sponsor is Ground News, and, it's like, well, that's just another place where I can go and form my own bubble, based on whatever their recommendations are. And AI is like that too. It's really not, the powers that be, whether it's the ancient Christian church, he made a point that Latin for most people in the Middle Ages was like quantum mechanics is to us. People just didn't understand the language. So you had to go through a priest to learn about Jesus. And then the printing press came along, Gutenberg's Bible, all that kind of stuff. Then we had a revolution in printing and books. Then we had radio and TV. And then we had, my thing is, I remember, because I'm old, how excited we were about personal computers, personal computing, the internet. I remember fax machines, all these things breaking and all the new freedoms and how it was going to make everyone smarter. And it was a revolution in knowledge and awareness and epistemic rigor and truth and all that kind of stuff. And the World Wide Web came out. I was in the financial publishing house in San Francisco when Netscape went public. So I go way back to those days, and we were all really excited about all this stuff. And I went through the first dot-com bubble and so on. So anyhow, we were so excited. And then it turns out decades later that, people are just as stupid as they were, and they don't know it. They can't recognize their own stupidity. And we have information bubbles, and all of this technology can be used by the powers that be any way they want to use them. And you have to be very careful and rigorous when encountering any information. And any new tool is just as good as the person who's using the tool. So if you're an expert in wood joinery, and you went to Hida Takayama in Japan and studied with a master for 20 years, and you can build temples, in Japan, Japanese gardens in public parks in the United States through wood joinery or whatever. You have your tools, your planes, your saws, your mallets, and all that kind of stuff. And you're just as, if you're really good at your craft and you know how to use your tools properly, you can build a really nice temple. The same thing in your mind and your heart and your brain. If you know how to use these tools properly, and you're already very careful about how you learn, what you learn, why you learn, to what end, and so on, you'll be able to build powerful and truthful knowledge and awareness in your mind and heart. But having these tools doesn't guarantee anything, and it certainly doesn't guarantee the end of Christianity. We had the four horsemen in the 2000s and so on, and the new atheist movements and the skeptic and the pub thing and all that kind of stuff. And what happened? We're still having the same arguments, the same culture wars. Religion is having a comeback now. And so, maybe AI is going to make a new religion, and it's going to be powered by elites who want to control us through this new AI-produced religion that's figured out from the training data that we've provided the people producing the algorithms exactly what we want to believe in, and then making us believe it, and then using it to control us, and so on. There's no guarantees. But he's young, so he's enthusiastic, and I imagine his subscriber base is young as well, and they're going through these philosophical arguments and learning about apologetics and philosophy, like 101 on YouTube. And so young people want to be positive. They want to get excited about new stuff. I have podcasts now. We have iPod, and then iPhone and whatever. And we get all excited. We think this is a game changer. It's all going to be different now. Well, there are many game changers, obviously. Nuclear war, nuclear power, the telegraph, the telephone, Alexander Graham Bell, whatever. Point back to all these different innovations that some of them took a long time to occur. Some of them happen more rapidly. We're in a period of great acceleration. But, the low-hanging fruit, perhaps, in terms of physics and other things might already be gone. And it may take us centuries to make a really big discovery. Until then, we're just iterating on things we know already and utilizing these tools and inventions, if you can call them that, products in certain ways. But generally, it's to feed the market and to feed the profit machine and the scarcity machine and all that kind of thing. So we're captive anyway. You just have to be aware of this, okay? Don't think that, AI is a game changer. It could be just another financial scam. I mean, it is a good tool and it is helpful, but more information, more content, is that really what we need? I mean, we have a lot of things that we have to sort out, and we're not paying any attention to them. You know, the only guy I know out there really that's talking about revolution is Peter Josephs, and people think he's crazy because he criticizes a market economy, and that's just not done. And he has some ideas for what to do, what's next, how to get there. Very well thought through and articulated. And he's got like 10,000 subscribers on his Revolution Now podcast. And you go to whatever, Alex Jones or these other post-truth idiots, and you've got millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions, Joe Rogan and Sam Harris. And who are these people? Why are we wasting time? We should be studying what's really important and figuring things out for ourselves so that we can do something to avert catastrophe. I mean, this whole thing about the ceasefire in Ukraine is a joke because Russia won't accept it. They've already laid out the terms and the conditions that they demand before they have a serious peace talk or ceasefire talk. It's just nonsense. And of course, it keeps the markets going. I mean, Donald Trump shilling for Elon Musk by buying a fucking Tesla. I mean, that's a joke. We have all kinds of electric cars in Portugal from all over the place, Scandinavia, Eastern Europe, China, wherever. And, there's plenty of competition now for Tesla. It's a joke, but, his stock's going down. Elon owns a lot of Tesla stock, so he's got to pump it up, And he's using the president as a freaking used car salesman. It's a joke. It's ridiculous. And AI isn't going to save us from this. It's probably going to exacerbate it. So this is what I said in the comments to Steve's thing. And I like Steve Woodford. He's a good guy and all that. And I don't mean to be critical of him personally or to say that his video is just total nonsense. But honestly, I understand that positivity sells and you want to get people excited about the next thing. Like that's what the, Netscape, the next thing. What's after Netscape? So I said religious people cherry pick the few books they read and focus on information they already believe. So confirmation bias. How will AI change that? You have to put in the prompt. You're looking for something. You want to find something. Even the so-called AIs like Grok 3 or whatever that supposedly reason with you. You can manipulate the conversation to get the answer you want. I've done that with it. It's like I'm leading it to the conclusion that I want, that I already have preconceived, right? So it's not like I'm having a real good faith, rational discussion with the AI. It's not artificial. It's not intelligent. So like ground news, so I criticize that because it's really not a thing, but they're spending a lot of money supporting YouTubers and podcasts. So, there you go, especially YouTubers. You got to get your money somewhere. So, like ground news, it's a fancy way to build a new information bubble. How and why we use tools is crucial. Has the fire hose of data made people less stupid? Will we soon depend on mini fusion reactors, actors, and mining the Oort Cloud to keep the server farms running? And what I mean by that is all of these data centers are energy dependent and they use a lot of energy. And so if we are, there were several articles out recently about the United States is oil and shale gas and production, all of that is going down, down, down. So we're past the peak now. It's diminishing. So we're going to have to find energy from somewhere. And so, we're fantasizing about taking Musk's rockets to the Oort Cloud to mine it for minerals and stuff we need and then bring it back. As if that doesn't take a shitload of energy. How are you going to get the energy to build the Dyson sphere around the sun so you can go to another galaxy? It's ridiculous. Look, science fiction is fun and I like it, but come on, let's be real. And how long does it take? And what happens between now and then if we don't slow down and take care of this insane growth machine that we're addicted to? And do things reasonably and rationally and truthfully and science-based, evidence-based, technically, correct. If it is an engineering problem, the bridge has to be built properly for purpose and to last, right? Another 50 years and $50 billion. So you know that old trope, another 5 years and $5 billion. All I need is some more funding and a little bit more time, and I'll cure every cancer in the world with my AI tools. So invest now, buy stock. Without trust in institutions, consensus on reality, and epistemic rigor, information is easily weaponized to support the powers that be, whether religious or secular. Religion doesn't have a monopoly on bullshit. Has truth gone viral in the post-truth era? People talk about the post-truth era for a reason, right? AI is just as likely to lead to World War III, a multipolar trap, the competition for the artificial general intelligence between China, the evil people, and Russia, the evil people, and America, the good guys, and so on. So we have to blow up half the world to prevent them from getting something that we should be collaborating with them to get and to implement in the proper way so that it's good for people, good for life on Earth, so that it's good for posterity, for God's sake, right? And instead of thinking about how to blow up our enemies, Anyway, so, and a horrific reset for the evolution of life. So if we have a World War III, that resets everything. Maybe all the megafauna is gone. And we have to climb out of a hole or crawl out of the ocean again over millions and millions of years. If there's a really horrific thermonuclear war, it could really set things back. But one thing is for certain, our species is gone. Okay? 70,000 years ago, Homo sapiens came out of Africa and started running around the planet. 70,000 years in geological time. In terms of life on Earth, that's nothing. 4 billion years. AI is just as likely to lead to World War III, a multipolar trap, and a horrific reset for the evolution of life. Who programs the algorithms? On what data sets are AIs trained? And for whom? And to what ends? People are still having debates that have been around for thousands of years. I wonder if Homo storyteller is capable of wising up. More content, more better? So I said that on his channel. I probably won't get any likes for that because it's more than one sentence. So the person down below said, wishful thinking. In the US, we have only become more stubborn and dumbed down as the access to information increases. The access to misinformation is probably more for the people in my country. So it's a short thing, 97 likes, but he's basically saying the same thing I said. The next guy down, somebody who wants AI to confirm their religious beliefs will have a little problem finding chatbots willing to produce theological nonsense. I just said that, but I said it in too many sentences. He got 30 likes for that. This is a short one, 92 likes. High quality content from AI right now is a stretch. So I would like that too. I'm going to do that. So he gets 93 likes. I never get likes because I'm long-winded. So whatever, that's me. I'm screwed. So I'm going to shut the camera off right now and just take you through this quick article as fast as I possibly can. Or maybe I won't. Trump's war on education. Yeah, I'm not going to bother a screen recording for this. It's not necessary. Chris Hedges does a piece called Trump's War on Education. Education is being gutted. It's being thrown away. So forget about your AIs helping you out. They just docked Columbia University $400 million over the problems with in the Middle East right now that you can't even mention. I can't say a word about it because can't say anything bad about the 51st state. So he has a quote here from Jason Stanley: "Erasing history: how fascists rewrite the past to control the future. One of the most significant threats that a class hierarchy can face is a universally accessible and excellent public school education or system." So they don't want you to be smart. All these reactionaries, they want you to be stupid. They all went to Yale. They all went to Brown and Cornell and Harvard. But you can't go because you're not part of that elite that's going to decide ultimately what you're to think and feel. They don't want a level playing field. They never did. So he talks about teaching Howard Zinn's A People's History of the United States. I don't know why it's controversial. Why? Because Howard Zinn criticized or opened your eyes to the sins of America, the United States of America, which is verboten. So our children are instructed from propaganda tracts like those of Howard Zinn that try to make students ashamed of their country. How dare you criticize your country? And this came from Trump in the White House, okay? Just saying, there are so many banned books now. It's insane. It's thousands of books are being banned. It's ridiculous. This is madness. So he taught this in prison, Chris Hedges, and basically all Howard Zinn did was, lay out the testimonies of people like Sojourner Truth, Chief Joseph, Henry David Thoreau, Frederick Douglass, W.E.B. Du Bois, Randolph Bourne, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr., and so on. And so some of the students in prison would say stuff like, damn, we've been lied to, There are different ways to look at things. And you can, if you're forced to conform to one point of view, that is not freedom. That is not intelligence. That is not critical thinking. That is not good for democracy or for people. They want to keep you stupid, which is why back in the day, the church didn't want you to read the Bible. It's more difficult to control you. And once you could read the Bible, you had all these splinter groups coming out, and you had the 30 Years' War and stuff between the Catholics and the New Protestant arm and all that kind of stuff. So Zinn makes clear that organized militant forces opened up democratic space in American society. None of these democratic rights, the abolition of slavery, the right to strike, equality for women, Social Security, the 8-hour workday, civil rights, were given to us by a benevolent ruling class. It involved struggle and self-sacrifice. Zen, in short, explains how democracy works. Maybe you don't want it. You just want to be told what to believe. You want to go online and have somebody tell you, take these vitamins, you're all sorted. Or believe this for this reason, you're all sorted. The absolute truth, the dogmatic truth, delusions, self-deceptions, all that kind of stuff, and you're fine because you don't have to think anymore. You don't have to use any calories or energy to think for yourself or to learn something which requires some work. And then Zen recalls that I was fired for insubordination, which happened to be true. He was insubordinate. He was teaching at Spelman College, a black women's college, and blah, blah, blah. You know, yeah, it's just like Hedges was fired from all kinds of news outlets for not spouting the propaganda script, you know, regurgitating it, parroting it, performing it. Education is meant to be subversive. It gives students the ability and the language to ask questions about reigning assumptions and ideas. It questions dogma and ideology. If you can't do that, where are you? You're a slave, a mental slave. So right-wing attacks on various things, Stanley points out in his book, intentionally distort these programs to create the impression that those whose perspectives are finally included, like Black Americans, for instance, are receiving some sort of illicit benefit or unfair advantage. And so they target Black Americans who have risen to positions of power and influence and seek to delegitimize them as undeserving. The ultimate goal is to justify a takeover of the institutions, transforming them into weapons in a war against the very idea of a multiracial democracy. And then we hear all the time about how poor white Americans are being oppressed and Christians are being oppressed and, you know, oh my God, poor white people. I mean, it's a joke. Why would you be proud to believe that or to talk like that? What, you got no power because you're what? Weak, stupid? What? What's your problem? You know, you want them to pull themselves up by the bootstraps and don't take any extra help from the government or whatever. And you can't do it yourself. You're complaining. It's ridiculous. So Ellen Schrecker documents in her book, The Lost Promise, American Universities in the 1960s. That's another interesting read, very profound. Public institutions which serve 80% of the nation's students, 80%, are chronically short of funding and basic resources. Teachers are buying pencils and paper and notebooks for their students, and they don't get paid shit. Higher education has evolved even at major research universities, let's say MIT or Stanford, into vocational training, no longer a vehicle for learning, but economic mobility. So you have these actors bribing schools to let their kids in because you're not going to make any money if you don't graduate from one of these schools. The assault sees elite schools where tuition can run over $80,000 a year, cater to the wealthy and the privileged, locking out the poor and the working class. Does it make sense to spend $80K a year to get an education when you're a kid? Do you think that's helpful for society? Sociologically sound? This is a real problem, and I can't believe people aren't fighting back. It's just unbelievable how docile, how domesticated, pacified we are. And AI isn't going to help us. Trust me, it's going to pacify you and domesticate you even more. The current academy functions primarily to replicate an increasingly inequitable status quo. It is hard to imagine how it could be restructured to serve a more democratic purpose without external pressure for something like universal free higher education. And we have evidence from other countries, I got to mention Denmark again or something, where people, have access to education and what that means to their quality of life. So totalitarian societies do not teach students how to think, but what to think. PEN America has documented nearly 16,000 book bans in public schools nationwide since 2021. What the? What the? A number of PEN writes, not seen since the Red Scare McCarthy era of the 1950s. These books include such titles as The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison, The Color Purple by Alice Walker, Mouse, the graphic novel on the Holocaust by Art Spiegelman. Are you kidding me? What the? The most important human activity, as Socrates and Plato reminded us, is not action but contemplation, echoing the wisdom enshrined in Eastern philosophy. So before they seize power and establish a world according to their doctrines, totalitarian movements conjure up a lying world of consistency, which is more adequate to the needs of the human mind than reality itself, in which, through sheer imagination, uprooted masses can feel at home and are spared the never-ending shocks which real life and real experiences deal to human beings and their expectations. Hannah Arendt writes in The Origins of Totalitarianism. It's a classic. Everyone has to read it. Nothing's perfect. No book's perfect, but you just have to read it. The force possessed by totalitarian propaganda, before the movements have the power to drop iron curtains to prevent anyone's disturbing by the slightest reality the gruesome quiet of an entirely imaginary world, lies in the ability to shut the masses off from the real world. So anyhow, he says things are getting worse, and they are. I haven't seen anything get better over the last 15 years. It's just getting worse. And young people want to believe in a bright future where everything's really cool, and they have these miraculous technologies, and you have these brain implants that make you instantly a genius. And Woodford talks about that. And please don't get your hopes up. You need to be disciplined, meatbag, free thinkers first, and able to use the tools that are given you by a good education first, before we go on to, being immortal cyborgs with, artificial brains with our soul implanted in it, the homunculus or whatever. Be careful, people. If you're not willing to fight for freedom and for knowledge and for an understanding of reality, a science-based, reality-based world where you can discern truth from falsehood, if you're not willing to fight for the right to have that, they're going to take it away from you, the players, because they don't give a shit about you. Trust me. Musk, Trump, they don't care. The game is for players who want the status, the power, the money. They want to be in the limelight. They want to be in their little clique. They've convinced themselves that they're doing good things for people, but they're not. They're doing good things for themselves. If they were, we wouldn't be living in a world with war anymore, or scarcity at all. And market-based, financialized global capitalism wouldn't exist. It's a hard pill to swallow. I get that. But read, educate yourself. I feel sorry for parents now who have to come up with 80K for the kids. And obviously, without wealth transfers from your parents, generational wealth, most people are just shit out of luck. So enjoy your homeschool, get your education. WWIII out.